It was exactly a year ago when an incident occurred that would forever haunt the memory of a diligent student preparing for their final exams. As the exams loomed closer, the school administration decided to extend the library hours until midnight, giving students a quiet place to study for longer hours. The student, whose house was only a short distance from the school, preferred the calm and focused environment of the library over the distractions of home. That particular evening began like any other. The student left home around 6 o'clock, carrying a bag packed with books, notes, and snacks to keep them going through the hours of study. The streets leading to the school were lively with the chatter of passers-by and the glow of streetlights. Reaching the library, the students settled into their usual corner, a spot near the large windows overlooking the courtyard. Time passed quickly as they became absorbed in their work, flipping through pages of notes, solving practice problems, and writing furiously. Occasionally, the muffled whispers of other students and the sound of pages turning filled the library, providing a comforting background noise. But as the hours stretched on, the library grew quieter. One by one, the other students packed up their things and left, until the student realized they were the only one remaining. When they glanced at the clock on the wall, they were startled to see that it was already 10 p.m. This was much later than they usually stayed, as they typically left by 8. Even at 8, the library would still have a handful of students studying diligently. Now the silence was profound, broken only by the faint hum of the ceiling fans. Though slightly unnerved, the student decided to finish the remaining 10 to 15 minutes of study before leaving. They buried themselves back in their notes, determined to complete their work. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence, a distinct, irregular noise, like someone limping down the hallway outside the library. The student froze, straining to listen. The sound grew louder, closer, and then stopped altogether. Their heart raced as they tried to rationalize the noise. Was it a teacher? A janitor? Or perhaps another student? But no one entered the library. Feeling a growing sense of unease, they hurriedly packed their books, stuffed them into their bag, and left the library. The corridor outside the library stretched long and narrow, dimly lit by a flickering fluorescent light. At the far end of the corridor stood a figure, a woman. Her silhouette was barely visible in the faint light, but something about her presence sent a chill down the student's spine. As they approached cautiously, the feeling of dread intensified. Her stillness was unnerving, as if she were waiting. Gathering courage, the student called out, "Who's there?" The moment the words left their mouth, the figure vanished. No sound, no movement, just gone. Relief washed over them, but the unease lingered. The student quickened their pace, stepping out into the cold night air. The street outside the school was unusually empty, a stark contrast to its usual bustling activity even at night. The stillness of the street felt oppressive, amplifying the sound of the students' own footsteps. As they walked, their eyes fixed on the ground, they noticed a shadow stretching toward them. Confused and alarmed, they looked up and saw a woman walking ahead. Her movements were strange, slow, uneven, as if she was struggling with each step. The student's heart pounded as they closed the distance between them. The closer they got, the more unsettling her appearance became. She was dressed in tattered, filthy clothes, her hair wild and matted. Her hands and feet were twisted at unnatural angles, and her gait was painfully labored. Every instinct screamed at the student to stay away. Suddenly, the woman stopped and turned to face the student. Her eyes were dark and hollow, and her face bore an expression that was both sorrowful and terrifying. In a low, raspy voice, she asked, "Have you seen my daughter?" The question sent a jolt of fear through the student. Their mouth went dry, and their mind raced. Unable to speak, they raised a trembling hand and pointed far into the distance, hoping to send her away. The woman stared for a moment, then turned and limped in the direction they had indicated, disappearing into the shadows. The students stood frozen for several moments, their legs unwilling to move. Finally, the overwhelming fear spurred them into action. They ran as fast as they could, the cold air stinging their face, desperate to find someone, anyone, who could help. But the streets remained empty, eerily silent. Just as they thought they were safe, a piercing scream shattered the stillness. It was the woman's voice, wailing, "She is here." The sound echoed through the night, filled with anguish and fury. The students' vision blurred, their body weakened, and everything went black. When they regained consciousness, they were in their own home, lying on the couch. Their neighbor explained how they had found the student collapsed on the ground and carried them home. As they recounted the night's events, the neighbor's face grew grim. "There's a story about a woman named Agatha," the neighbor began. "She was 32 years old back in 1998 and had a 10-year-old daughter who attended your school. One day, the little girl died in a tragic accident while playing with her friends. Agatha couldn't bear the loss and eventually passed away, overcome with grief. Since then, people have reported seeing her ghost near the school and surrounding streets. She's searching for her daughter, hoping to be reunited with her." The students sat in stunned silence, the weight of the tale sinking in. The image of the woman, her twisted form, her haunting question, it all made sense now, though it offered no comfort. Agatha's sorrowful spirit was still wandering, trapped in an endless search for the child she had lost.